Podcast.
Well, JT, another Halloween has come and gone. I don't understand it. The kids came trick-or-treating, and all they got was an underwear full of shit stains. I don't know. I suppose you spent all night in the queue line at the Bates, huh?
You know, Chris Baker, the first thing I want to say is, of all the Chris Bakers in the world, you're the Chris Bakerist. Or is it the Bakest?
And the Great Pumpkin Rot never showed up. He never showed up.
Maybe a few or 8 pumpkin beers might have showed up that night. But how's it going?
Underneath people's jackets,
or in wagons. The parents here do wagons, which is awesome. Mom was like, "Do you want a beer?" I was like, "No, we got a wagon full." I'm like, "All right, well, can I have one?" Yeah. So God, I can't believe it's like you prep and you do everything, and we're looking forward to it every year. And look, don't scream. I know. Every year, every day is Halloween, but it's you round around into August and you start gearing up, thinking about it, and through September, and then it just comes and goes, right? It's crazy the amount of work, but again, it's what we love. It's what we love to do. It's what we look forward to, and then it just comes. But it's also there's magic to it, right? There's just the one. I mean, even if you put up your yard for a few weeks or whatever, it's just literally that night is just magic, pure magic.
Yeah, just the month is spectacular.
Yeah.
I try to enjoy all I can. I could still probably squeeze a few extra little attractions or things in. Like I was thinking maybe I'd get up to Salem and for a day or so. That didn't happen.
How far are you from Salem?
2 hours maybe.
Okay.
A good 2 hours, 2.5 maybe with traffic if I have to cut through the city.
You've been up there a lot or a few times? Or?
No, I actually don't get up there that often. It's like every once in a while. I went up last year and it was great. And this year I was like, yeah, I should grab my son. My son lives north of Boston, and I was like, actually, it's East Boston. It's right where the airport is. So I was going to see if I could grab him because you already have to cross. You'll basically go through the downtown area if you're going that way. And I was going to try to grab him, and I don't know, something just didn't work out. And he was like, "Oh, I asked him at the last minute. He's like, "Oh, I'm going. I've already got a party I'm going to tonight."
I think he had to wash his hair.
He did. He gave me the old wash your hair, the Johnny Thunder wash your hair line. And I'm like, all right, I see where I stand. I get it.
He asked me for advice about how to avoid you, and I, texted him the old hair trick.
It worked well. I was like, all right, whatever, man. He's got nice hair, so he's got to add the conditioner.
Well, thank God for that wife,
that
ex-wife.
Yeah, I guess.
X.
Well, anyway,
I said X. So thanks, X. Anyway.
Well, welcome back to the last bar on the left. I'm Baker, and my hetero life partner, Johnny Thunder, is always joining me here.
Yeah. We were hanging out over here at the last booth at the last bar, and, I just could not wait. I've been sitting here for, oh my God, like a month, just waiting for you to stop by so we could catch up.
Yeah, well, I have a big review to do, and thank God it's not a movie because you definitely don't need to hear me do a movie.
Well, frankly,
review.
I'm still a little worried about this review. So, I was going to say you just got back from the legendary Haunt tour, right?
Oh yeah, But before we go balls deep into the legendary Haunt tour, if you would like. The listeners, you guys, if you would like me and
JT, like to do something?
JT and the rest of us clowns to continue beating your dancing monkeys and delivering haunt content on the weekly, please give us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you use. Like the episodes and
smash that like button.
Smash it, kick it. Drop kick it, give it a flying suplex, and recommend Highcast to any like-minded freaks that you know. All right? Now I got that out of the way. The 2024 Legendary Haunt Tour.
Nice.
Which is run by the Transworld crew, Jen Braverman and Netherworld's Ben Armstrong, which took place on November 8th and 9th in Ohio. Ohio. Oddly enough, my trip began in Nashville.
Yeah.
As I belong to this Eagle Rider motorcycle club, and I have these points that you buy in and you got these points, but you can't keep them forever or they'll disappear. And I'm a little bit behind on so I had to make sure I used points for this trip and do a motorcycle trip, or I was going to lose them. So anywhere above the Mason-Dixon line after November, they will not rent just for, weather conditions. So the closest one I could find that was open that I could rent through for the week was in Nashville. So I flew into Nashville and picked up a bike and headed up through Kentucky and made my way up to Cincinnati, which really was a nice trip. I'd never been through Kentucky, and it was gorgeous. I had a blast going through it. Stopped off at the Mammoth Caves, and I went through one of the cave tours there for like 2 hours. It's one of the.
You texted me some pictures; they were awesome. And unfortunately, you made your way out.
Yeah, unfortunately wasn't a cave in, and you were.
I was hoping there were some sort of subterranean creatures that might, alleviate me of having to see you ever again. But
continue this nonsense every month. Yeah. Anyway, so that was kind of cool. That was just a little stopover. Made my way up to Cincinnati. So the check-in was at the Westin Hotel on Friday.
Okay,
and they did have like a technically, I guess they had a chaos safety training seminar at 10 a.m. that morning, but
did they use you as the example? Like you were chaos?
Of course, I didn't attend.
Shocking.
Safety's for wimps. Safety's for total wimps, man. Yeah, they could have used me as an example. Then, so
this is what not to do. Yeah. And then they just show you. Just point and laugh, kids.
So the night popped off with dinner at the Hofbrau House, which you would have loved because it was a full-on German Bavarian style restaurant with the the big bench seating in them, and that was actually technically it was in Newport, Kentucky, because it's right on. I think that's the Ohio River, so it was right across. It was like 5 minutes from the hotel, right over the river. The place was good. Had a nice buffet style dinner for us, complete with some Apfelstrudel and some Hefeweizen.
Nice,
which was very nice. So, well, the Hefeweizen wasn't included. That was on us. So, no beer included in that one. But so I'm in there and I'm looking around and I'm hoping that I see somebody that I know, because as being solo there, and I'm looking around, and most of these are all haunt owners from all over the country.
Sure.
And I turn around and there's Bruce Stanton right behind me. Now I don't know if you know who Bruce Stanton is. Like, he's from the Reign of Terror haunted
I do, but why
California.
don't you tell everyone in the audience that doesn't know who he is?
Yeah, so he's from the Reign of Terror haunted house in California.
Oh,
anyway,
really?
So I turn around and it's him and his wife and his right hand man. I forget his name. And so we're in the buffet line, and I just said, hey dude, hey, I'm by myself. And there was 3 of them, and they had a booth. I said, do you mind if I kind of weasel my way in with you guys? He's
God,
like,
so you're that guy.
He's no, yeah. So they ended up allowing me to come in and have dinner with them. I bought them drinks. The drinks were on me. So I said, hey, you guys, put up with me for the night. I at least have to buy you drinks. And then they said, hey, we're going after, dinner wrapped up. The USS Nightmare was like 5 minutes away. So he said, hey, why don't you jump in with us? We'll give you a ride. So we went over to the USS Nightmare to start off the night.
I was going to ask you, that was of all of them, that even nationwide, that's one of the haunts that I've always wanted to visit, just because of the location, just because of the physicality of the the structure itself. I just thought it always looked so cool.
Yeah, it's kind of odd because when you're looking down, when you're on the boat, if you look down, it seems like a lot of the bottom is like filled with water. It's I'm not sure if that's intentional to help keep it more in place or something, but it almost looks as if the bottom had been broken away. It adds a little bit extra to the kind of the look and feel of the boat,
right?
And a lot of it seems they did a great job with the distressing and everything. It seems like pretty very distressed and all that. And it was sort of cool. Anyway, I'm in the queue line, and right next to, like, the person who walks up right behind me is Ben Armstrong and his wife.
Oh, nice.
So I'm like,
nice.
yeah. And then, so you know how usually people will look at your shirt to find out like which haunt you're a part of, because everybody's got their colors on. You know what I mean? It's like Transworld. Everybody's got their colors on. So he kind of looks down and reads the Hauntcast logo, and then just like as if he just smelled like the most rancid rip ass fart that somebody just let go. No, I'm just joking. We chatted a little bit, and then the guys from in front of us were from the 13th, the Nightmare on 13th from Salt Lake City, Utah. Yeah, it was kind of cool. We chatted a little bit. We kind of got right in. It moved very quick on the boat. Like, atmosphere on the ship was pretty cool. Obviously very different from any haunt I've ever attended, because it's on a ship.
Right.
The rooms and scenes were pretty well done. Overall, I felt like the attraction was a little lacking. And now this is the week after, so they wrap up their season the week before. So technically they finish off the season, and then they're all reopened. If you're part of the tour, you reopen the next week. So do they have all of their top players there, their top actors? Are they bringing their A game? I don't know. I would assume they would be, considering they're trying to impress people like these haunt owners from all over the country. But sure. But
I mean, to your point, it can be tough, especially if you're doing something before the season, you're doing something, maybe closer to when you open, or something that's sort of afterwards. So, yeah, I always would tend to give places the benefit of the doubt, because, again, you're not sure. But like I said, to me, it's one of those where just because of how different it is, that it is a ship, and you're, I was going to say, are you like, when you wait, like the queue line to like get, like, are you on a dock on the river? Like, how do you...
the queue line is, there is that, like, that loading kind of bridge, or I don't know what you call that you walk up to get on the bridge. Actually, you kind of had to walk down at an angle to get to get from like the parking lot area. So I think that queue line starts there, then you kind of go down, and then a big part of the queue line is on the rear of the boat, on the deck.
Your favorite part of the boat?
The poop deck.
See, I wasn't going to go there, but, okay.
So, yeah, so you kind of make your way. They have a little, rat maze there to get you into the tour. Then, you just start going through.
And theme-wise, then, are all the characters sort of like nautical, or does it kind of...
for the most part, though. Okay. I think at one point there was like a little bit of clown action in there, which I just thought was kind of jarring. Like... Okay, I guess, like, if you're a haunt nowadays, you have to have a little bit of a clown, theme somewhere jammed in there.
Yeah, so, I like themed, but I'm also just like, you know what, bring it. It's Halloween. Let's just go. I'm okay with any of that. Because do you think, like, maybe there was a kids party on the boat, or maybe, there's like I said, like a kids section, and that just popped up, and the ghost of the clown still haunts the boat or whatever.
Yeah, or or John Wayne Gacy, memorial, theme, whatever. Anyway,
sure.
But the haunt was cool. It definitely had such a different vibe due to the ship and all of that.
Nice.
One thing that I felt was very lacking is I don't think I was startled once through the whole thing, and I am kind of an easy mark because I'm constantly looking at everything as I'm walking through. I'm like tapping things to see what they're made out of. I'm looking at all the details up in the corner.
Yeah. So security loves you.
So So and I'm always, and I take my time. So I'm always looking at everything. So like I say, I'm an easy mark. But I don't think there was. I got one startle in the entire thing. I was hoping that I'd go through, and I'm looking to get. I want to get got. When I go through. And it felt like there was a lot of actors that were just kind of wandering around in the hallways and stuff, just kind of acting weird, but not overly entertaining. I just felt like the actors were their weak link. And once again, did they have their best people there that night? Maybe they lost some of their best, or they just couldn't make it that night. I don't know. So I'm not casting shade on them. I expected a little bit better because I've heard such amazing things about the haunt. I don't know. It was a little lackluster for me. But you know, I mean, I'd give it maybe like a B that night, and that was just that night. Once again, they might not have been on their complete A game that night, so it is what it is.
So what was the second stop?
Second stop was the Dent Schoolhouse in Cincinnati.
Oh, that is definitely another place that I've always wanted to check out.
Yeah, that's the reason I did this tour. When I looked and I said, okay, and I remember because we had, I think I can't remember if it was the Haunted School and Lab or the Dent where I had done interviews with both of those people.
I think we did Dent. Yeah, I think I did
Dent. And I remember Weister doing the reviews of all of these on his segments. So when I saw the opportunity to do all four of these haunts all in one shot, I was like, all right, you know what? I take vacation then. Everything works out perfectly. Everything did work out great. So anyway, we make our way over to Cincinnati, which is like maybe the haunt was about maybe 20 minutes away. The queue line actors were out to play, and they made the line was seemed a little bit longer there than it was over at the Ship. I think because we left the restaurant a little earlier than other people, so I think we kind of got in a little quicker. We had less of a line, but when we were at the Dent, we kind of got caught in the line.
Well, and also they saw, oh my goodness, I see your Hauntcaster. Let's move him to the front of the line.
You know, he's standing next to Ben Armstrong. He must be somebody.
Oh my God, yes.
Then, so they were out to play, and they were having a blast. And I actually wish the queue line took a little bit longer because I was just having so much fun on the queue line. And then once we got in, the sets were top notch. The scare actors were absolutely bringing it too. They got me about a dozen times in that haunt, and I was
easy.
I am an easy mark, and I was loved, dude. I want because I'm not walking around trying to because you kind of know where people are going to come out. You got this thing over here is distracting you, so something's going to come out on the opposite side. But I'm just walking in, and I'm just like, oh man, that's badass, and then boom, the guy gets me because I'm not really looking to catch them. I'm kind of like opening myself up. Like, come get me, come get me.
See, I do the same thing when I go through somewhere. I'm like, wow, I'm just like, I look at the room and I look at the set design. I'm like, well, that's awesome. I'm like, oh, you're right in my face.
So, but the sets were fantastic. The crew, the actors were just like the scare actors were on their mark. They got me, man. Like I say, they got me about a dozen times. They had great, lighting, special effects. Everything was just so much fun, and as an added little extra to what I was just talking about, they added a little carnival scene. So when you get out of the schoolhouse, they added like an extra little carnival haunt attached to it. So you got a extra little carnival haunt that you could go through as well. And then it was cool because then you came out and then you were in a midway. So you kind of came out. Well, it was more of a ending way, not a midway. But you come out, and then they had games. I think they had like axe throwing, and they had a bunch of other games. They had food. They had a bar there, so you could come right out, grab some drinks, hang out. Whatever. It was cool, man. They brought their A game that night for sure, and I was friggin' loving it, man. It was a good capper of that night. So. Then the next day, let's see. Oh, they did actually that night. I didn't do this, but it was an option. At like 10:30, they were going out. They had a boat, and they had like a party with DJ and all that stuff on the boat. But I'm looking at it, and like they're not scheduled to get back in until 12:30. Then by the time you get back to the hotel, it's 1:00, and then by the time they
plus you would just stand there and throw shade at the DJ the entire time,
dude, man,
bro. And you knock them overboard, and you're like,
your skills,
bitches!
Your skills are weak, son.
Yo! DJ Baker in the house. And the police came, and there'd be helicopters and SWAT teams, and it would be a whole thing.
Yeah. So I didn't want to be that guy. So I just.
So what'd you do? So what was the next haunt? Yeah, what was the next haunt then?
No. So that night, that was it. It was just that they had two haunts, and then they had the boat ride, and they had like a Q&A and party, whatever. But I even heard, I was talking to somebody the next day, and something got delayed. They didn't get even off the boat until 1:00, and so he's like, I didn't even get to bed until 2, and then they had to be on the bus at 8 a.m. in the morning to head out. Now I did the self-ride tour. I didn't do the bus tour.
Okay.
So, but I was still heading out about that time in the morning because it's a 3.5-hour ride to get from Cincinnati to Canton, which was the next stop, which is out in Easton, Ohio.
Okay.
So, now they had let's see, they had like a stopover, which was, let's see, it was at the Lind Fruit Farm, which was Tater Lynn's family's fruit farm in Ohio. So it Pataskala, Ohio, if that's correct.
Right.
And they stopped off and they just had like a sandwich and whatever. And I just bypassed that because I was stopping every hour to grab water, coffee, and then I grabbed lunch along the way because, you're on that bike for a while, like just doing, highway miles. I was braking like every hour. So it took me a little bit longer than 3.5 hours to get to the hotel for sure. But
so then when you got to Akron, what was that, Factory of Terror?
We started off, it was an early start too. It was 4:30. It was like a 4:30, 5 o'clock at the Haunted Schoolhouse and Lab in Akron, Ohio.
Got it. Okay.
We made our way there, and there they provided you with 2 drink coupons, so you could get a beer and you could get their like specialty shot, which was one of these like glow in the dark kind of shot type
like
of
a
thing.
Reanimator
Yeah,
kind of vibe.
yeah, exactly. So it was pretty badass. So we got there and we had a couple of drinks in the line while we were making our way through the queue line. They had a couple of good queue line guys. They weren't spectacular. They weren't as good as the Dents, but they were kind of trying to keep us busy.
Well, I was going to ask, what kind of characters did they have? Like, what were the vibe? Were they like monsters or ghouls or clowns or?
Dude, my short-term memory is completely blown away. So
I noticed the lack of like pictures too. I was like, dude, take pictures, and you're like,
well, I
here's
went,
2.
Oh, here's the thing. When I went back through, well, hold on, I'll get to that point. So anyway, their scare actors also, I felt like they weren't 100% on mark. I even was at the front of I was in the front of a small group going through, and I was also, I think I even broke apart, and I was like hanging back, and I was kind of going through by myself at one point, because they were giving us a lot of time in between groups, so that was really cool. They were really trying to break it up to give us a good experience.
Right.
Their sets and everything were spectacular. Like they were really impressive.
And again, what I had asked before is, are these just it's like one haunt and it's like a theme, or
this was all the floor. You had to go through different floors, and the different floors were kind of broken up into different types of themes. Like there was, I think, down when you go down into they lead you down into the basement, and they had like a whole like vampire type of setup with a number of rooms in there that was really badass. Like I did post some pictures of that. I've got more videos that I am going to be posting on the Hauntcast podcast.net website, so check out the blog page on there, and I'll also post some more on my Instagram as well. So because I had a bunch of other videos that I have not posted yet. So
way to work in those plugs.
So we'll get those up there for you guys. I figured I'd hold a few back for when we did the review.
He likes to tickle your behind with a feather.
I do.
Yeah, look at that. It's like you'd been doing this for 20 years.
Dude, I'm such a little tease. I'm a little freaking tease.
Such a media mogul professional. It's astounding that you're not bigger than you are, but
Yeah. No, it's not really astounding.
Not at all.
No, anyway.
I'm just trying to be kind.
I know you
It's Christmas.
Yeah, but
all right, so like I said, overall, like props and costumes.
Yeah.
And
Once again, hard to tell whether they had the best actors on. So it was, it's hard to compare. I thought it was a little lacking in the actor department, but it was the sets, the scenes, everything was really spectacular looking there. And I made after we were done, you kind of make your way out. Which is like levels of floors too. You basically go up a couple of floors. I think you go up and start on like level 3, and then like work your way down and end up into the basement area.
So it's not I mean, it's like you can just go on your own, or is it directed?
Yeah, no, it kind of, no, you're on your own walking through, but you have some time to, I'm sure when the place is packed at the end of October, it's just like the conga line pushing people through. But yeah, you could make your way down the stairs, and then, I mean, you could have stopped in the hallway if you wanted, and like, I don't know, whatever, shot up or
take a nap, make a sandwich.
Get a fix. It was cool. You had your levels you can go through, so you kind of start up and work your way down, then you're in the basement, and then you work your way out. It was a really beautiful haunt going through. Once again, actors seemed to be a little bit off their game in some areas, but really good overall. And then the best part about it is when we were done, they turned the lights on, and we got to go in and do a full lights on tour, which was awesome. Which was great.
So
that was
definitely
the first time I think I've ever had a chance to do that.
Those are cool.
So I went back in and I shot some video, which off the phone, which not the best quality. I didn't bring my real good camera with me, but so we ran through and I went through the whole thing once again, and that was great because then you could really get to see more of the detail in there. And then then you ended up, and then they have like a full bar outside where you could go out and hang out and have another drink or two before you leave.
Are there any other names you'd like to drop, like people you had drinks with?
There were people I was like talking to when I was in line and stuff, but
I'm so self-absorbed I didn't bother to get their names.
I should, exactly. I was too busy promoting Hauntcast. Have you ever heard of Hauntcast?
Yeah. Look at me, love me.
Yeah. We've been around for 15 years. Nobody knows us.
Chris, we know. Chris, we know. So wait. So then was the Factory of Terror the same day? Because that was earlier, so we were finished up by maybe 6 o'clock or so. Then they, basically by the time we were all done, they were loading up the bus, and I took the bike this time. I jumped on the bike, took the bike over to Canton, and we went over to the Factory of Terror. Now, that is billed as being the largest haunted attraction in the world, is what they were telling me. So, and what's the structure? I mean, like, is it a warehouse, or
it's a huge old warehouse? I mean, I don't remember how many square foot like this haunt actually is, but it was ridiculous because when we started off, they had us go in this area which was more of like their Christmas town area. So they're doing a lot of stuff with this property, and some things that I'll get to, I have never heard anybody doing what they're kind of doing with this, and it is pretty cool. So they basically had us go in, and there was like a big bar area. I mean, this place was all about, they had like 4 or 5 active bars in this place. So you would have loved it.
Wow.
You would have been all over this place. So they
what are you insinuating? Wait, I resemble that remark.
Yeah, they had one big ass bar that was all their Christmas Village area. Which,
but see, I wouldn't have left. Like I would be a Christmas bar the whole night.
It was very kind of odd because it's been like haunt, and then we're sitting in this little Christmas Village thing. Yeah, and then and so they had it was like a big horseshoe bar. We're hanging out in there, and then they basically started doing a Q&A. Ben gets up there and he starts talking to people, the other haunt owners. How was their seasons? Were they up?
Were you nervous when he brought you up
and down? Yeah, he was bringing me up there. They were trying to push me out the back door.
I was going to say, did security escort you out by that point?
I had to take my hoodie off.
Turn it inside out. Tie it around your waist.
I had to make like a diaper out of the thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's my favorite.
So they did like a Q&A thing, and they were talking about like some different ways of maximizing revenue, such as using like alcohol, food, games, ice cream, whatever, all the different kind of ways to help bring in. So there were a lot of people saying their numbers might have been a little bit down this year, but they were they were making more money per customer because of all these little add-ons, concessions and swag and everything else that they had out there. So they were kind of basically they were chatting about that. Then they had a buffet, and then they basically said, all right, great, the haunt's open, so let's start making your way out. So kind of made our way out of that side of this complex. It was massive. And then we walked outside around to like the front of the building and made our way into their, like, the main Factory of Terror. Along the way, there was queue line actors all over the place, and these guys were friggin' amazing. Like, they were spooktacular. They were just like having fun, busting balls, riffing, just running around doing crazy shit. Everybody was just loving it. Everybody was into it. Everybody's having a great time. It's like nobody was even in a hurry to get into the haunt because we were just having so much fun in line, just bullshitting with the queue line people and stuff. They did make it fly by. Then you kind of make your way into the building. Then you go into Haunt 1, into queue line for the Haunt 1, because now there are 4 different haunts in this thing, but they're all broken up. Technically, you do not have to go into. You could go to Haunt 4 or Haunt 3. You don't have to go into Haunt 1,
wow.
I believe, to get to any of the other haunts. So they're each individuals, and there's all of this extra area, which, once again, I'll get to there in a couple minutes. So you walk in, and there's a big queue line for Haunt 1. So everybody just kind of gravitated to the first one. The scene in there was friggin' awesome. It was really cool. I ended up talking with, where were these people from? Hold on. I think I made a note. They had a haunt in PA. Oh, they were the Haunted Hollow in PA, Haunted Hollow, PA. And it was the owner and his daughter in the queue line, and we were kind of chatting up and talking about the tour, and I was asking questions about their haunt stuff, and I ended up kind of getting. I was with them. They threw us together because they were two together and just me the one, so they sent us through together through the first haunt, and everything was just outstanding in this place. Just absolutely like
awesome.
Totally bitching, dude. The effects, scenes, just everything was just so awesome, and their actors were this was one of the best haunts I've gone through for scare actors. Like they had each haunt that I went through, they got me at least a handful of times, if not more. So I was having a blast. I'm like they would, somebody would pop out. Like some guy was one of the first people that got me was like they were all black suit and just standing in a black corner, and I came around and there was like a big whatever I was looking at, and he just popped out, jumped out right in my face, and I was like, fucking
nice.
Right, dude, that was right, you rocking. So I'm basically applauding everybody who gets me as I'm going through, and I'm like,
yeah. And they appreciate that. I mean, we appreciate that kind of stuff.
Told a couple of the guys as I'm walking through, I'm like, you guys are bringing your A game tonight, and they were like, oh, thank you, Gonna stay in character, but
right.
So yeah, It was great. So you basically get through the first haunt, and then you kind of get dropped off into a midway, another big midway open area, and right in front of you is this massive bar. It's like a Louisiana kind of bayou kind of looking thing. So a big ass bar, and there's a dance floor. So they got music pumping. You could take a break and go dancing. So if you want to get pop and lock going, as you have a couple of drinks, and
I was gonna say, so did everybody enjoy your break dancing routine?
They did, yeah. What happened is I ended up...
Did you keep your pants on this time?
I broke into a windmill, and then I blew out my hip, so that it was a little complicated getting through the rest of the hunt. Maybe a 56, I shouldn't be windmill.
We're getting older.
Yeah, see, because...
Might be time to retire that shit, but
they did discount drinks for us as well. I think they dropped
because of the broken hip.
Yeah, they did. They dropped the price of all drinks like $1 or so. So they kind of were giving us a little bit of a deal. So yeah, so you take a break there, you can go in, grab a drink, hang out as long as you want. There's no rush. You want to go to the haunt 3 instead of 2, or do what, or just hang there for an hour. You can absolutely do that. So then we, I just was going through them 1, 2, 3, 4. So went into haunt 2, and it was just freaking. They were just awesome. It was just one after another, just total banger. It was like each haunt was amazing, and some of the stuff they had in there, like that, I'm rapping on this thing because it looks like this huge piece of industrial machinery, and I'm like, dude, what is that made of? And it was actually real. I could have hit it, and you could tell it was
nice.
Like they must have pulled this out of some old factories or whatever manufacturing plants. So they had all kinds of really cool big ass shit in there, and it was really easy because the actors could easily hide behind, and then like these nooks and crannies, and they're popping out all over the place.
So
it was badass.
Of all the haunts that on the tour, was there anything in terms of a scene or a character or a scare that you have not seen before? And number two, is there anything you saw that would inspire you for the Mire next year?
As far as something that I've never seen, now once again, I try to get out to a haunt or two each year, but not like I'm somebody who gets out.
No, but I just need something new for you. I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily be new to everyone in the audience. I
don't think anything really stuck out. Like that really hit me where I'm like, oh man, I've really got to do that. I walked through there was a couple of areas, like one I've been talking about wanting to do the laser swamp for a number of years.
Yeah.
And, they did have a couple of cool rooms in there where, it's, they utilized it to great effect. I don't know. I should have made, when it was fresh in my head, I should have made some additional notes of anything that really stuck out. But just, overall, everything was just really amazing. Oh, so one thing that was really interesting. So after we wrapped up, and maybe something will come to me, before we finish. But as we kind of wrapped up, we all ended up back in that original bar restaurant type of area, which was kind of a midway. Like they had all the axe throwing and
sure.
I think even cornhole and shit in there. So some people were playing games, but we ended up back in there, and they were doing they had pizza. And, just pizza and some like salad and stuff for anybody who was still hungry. And they were doing another Q&A, which I didn't really stick around for. They were just, usually they were just going through a lot of just haunt stuff, with the owners. And, but they were one thing I did hear them talking about that I thought was really cool is that what they're doing differently in the Factory of Terror is they're trying to make it as a place that's like Halloween Town. Let's say you're a person who's timid, doesn't like to get scared, doesn't really want to go through haunted attractions to get scared, but loves Halloween. Loves to get dressed up, just loves the season, loves the sights, the smells, all of that stuff. Well, they kind of set it up where in some of their areas, especially like these bigger barroom midway type areas, they're having it as a place where you can come in costume, you can come hang out, you can come and do the axe shit or have they do bands and stuff. So they're trying to make it more of like a Halloween place to hang. So you don't want to go through the haunt? Cool. Come in, hang out, drink all night, in your costume and hang out and just enjoy the Halloween vibe.
That's smart. That's smart marketing. I mean, that's really smart marketing.
So you can kind of cover both ends. And they're also then leaning that same direction into like this Christmas thing where they're now starting to build out this whole Christmas section where they're doing you could come in with the kids and you can go in and see the little like the animatronic elves and stuff and all that kind of thing.
I mean, we've seen that the past several years at Transworld. I mean, because a lot of the haunts, the farms, the locations have added a Christmas section or a Christmas event. So, Transworld has now, and that's growing every year too, right? You have the whole Christmas section. So that makes sense. And, we're so steeped in the haunt sort of scare part of it, but, you do think, there are people that are also advertising and catering to family-friendly Halloween, family-friendly Christmas stuff. So it makes sense, because, why not? I mean, if you have the facility, you have the capability and the budget, why not try to expand and try to build your audience?
Yeah, I think a lot of this is like people are realizing, just stop this narrow focus of it's only, it can only be the haunt. There's so many other ways to make revenue. You have that space.
Right.
Why not utilize it for any and everything you can?
Right.
Other than just opening up for Christmas and doing like a Krampus themed haunt, doing a lot more with it.
So I should be pitching you my new Christmas segment for 2025 is...
Damn right, Santa. See, all you have to do is tweak that laugh a little bit, so it's like, there you go.
Instead of calling you ho, I can go ho ho ho.
We got all the hoes over here in the last bar on the left.
Oh boy! All right.
I know we're trying to keep it family friendly.
Yeah, exactly. So before that, we did have the. So did you clean up the mire and pack all that crap up, and you were done before you left, or how did you weren't done your trip yet?
No. Let me just wrap the tour up because this is it.
Oh, okay.
All in. I think the Factory of Terror was probably my favorite, and then it would be the Dent. Then the Schoolhouse and Lab, and then the USSR. And once again, cast no shade on these guys. Maybe they didn't have all the top people there. Maybe they were lacking some of their, some of the best people. I don't know. So it's not, whatever. It was all good. It was all fun, and I enjoyed each haunt individually. There's some, were better than others. Some really stuck out. And once again, because I love to get startled. I love to get got. So when I go through, I'm just begging for it. And when they get me, I'm just having a blast. So it just makes it that much more fun. Anyway, so I was talking to someone and they were talking about it being a little kind of expensive to do this tour. And I was just kind of sitting down looking at the math. And I was like, oh, it is $460 if you do the bus tour. It's individual riding. It was $335. So
but also but you're also sort of getting the VIP experience for
exactly. So
attraction.
Right? I looked at it. I go, if you divide the four haunts, forget about anything else. It's
like $100.
Divide the four haunts. Yeah, it works its way out to about $83.75 per haunt. Now,
I didn't take my shoes off to count my toes. Sorry.
Is that smell? God, put those things back on. Anyway, so.
Wow.
I know. If you look at even if you got the VIP on top of a ticket, how much would that be?
Plus you're driving around. Yeah. I mean, you got on a bus, you got food and everything else.
We got food. We got 2 dinners included. You got the pizza also after included. You got a couple of drinks. You got a couple of the drink coupons in one. So we had dinners, the pizza party, you had the Q&A.
You got to meet Chris Baker from Hauntcast.
Dude, Hauntcast in the house right there. That's the price
I'll
of it.
See you there, unless you see me
first. That's the price of admission right there. Dude, come on. Got the Baker over here. Come on.
God.
Yeah, so anyway, when I look at it, and even though I'm rolling around in all this Hauntcast FU money like Scrooge McDuck. I thought it was a fair price, and I thought it made sense, and it was a great tour, and I would.
Well, the other way to look at it is not that it's once in a lifetime, but maybe you'll never get out there again. As you said, you had vacation, you had the bike tour, and then it's like, well, this coincides with the bike trip that I already had planned, so why not? You never know.
Yeah, it all worked out. So
yeah. Finally, something's looking up Baker.
Yeah.
Good for you, kid.
I know, right?
I know.
Okay, so what were you just?
I was asking you, did you pack up the mire before that, or did you just let the mire be exposed to the elements and have Bob pack it up, or
no? I didn't want.
Have Bob set fire to it.
I didn't want the haunt to end up in the town dump, so I made sure that I put it away before.
Bob creates his own killdozer and knocks over the whole thing.
So that was the mad rush of doing it, because to do this tour, I had to schedule to leave out on a Wednesday, and I never usually do that. I usually leave on a Saturday and go Saturday to Saturday. I had to do a Wednesday to Wednesday, so I only had about 3 or 4 days to basically pack everything up and jam everything as much as I could away, which I pretty much got the whole haunt packed away, except that I left the pumpkins on the tree still with the LEDs lit on the timer,
Okay.
and I left those on until just a couple of days ago. I let them sit up there for about 2 more weeks, so they were out there for a full 2 months. But the rest of the haunt was all done. The front yard was mowed up because I let the grass grow in. As of like late August, I stopped cutting the lawn and let the grass grow in and make it look all kind of cool and spooky. So.
Yeah.
I had such a great season. I really did have a stellar spooky season across the board. Had a couple of haunts before I even kind of October kicked in. Haunt was up. All the new props were out. I
was going to ask you, what all did you build this year? I know you had your Cthulhu.
I did that tremendous creature.
Oh, yeah.
Which I might rename to Sycamore.
Help.
And
what was the inspiration for that guy?
I had a great gaudy pumpkin, like the pumpkin creep kind of creature, a number of years ago, and then the thing broke apart, and then I tried to rebuild it with a metal frame that I had Brent Ross make for me, and it was just too upright. It didn't have that cool crouched position like he was creeping around.
Okay.
He was more straight upright, and I kept looking at him going, yeah, he would be better off as like a creature, and I was never happy the way that thing came out, and it was just kind of irritating me, and I said, and nobody ever mentioned that they liked it, so I just knew it wasn't even it wasn't a fan favorite. It wasn't my favorite. I actually I just wanted to get from almost the second I put it out there. I'm like, this is not cutting it. It's just going to be I waited a couple of years, and then I didn't put it out last year. I just left it. In the shed there. I'm like, I'm not even putting it out because I knew I was going to rip it apart and redo it. And I had just in my head, like those ent creatures from the Lord of the Rings, or just like those big kind of tree type creatures. I thought, based on the stature of it, is because it's like 7.5 feet tall with the head on it.
Yeah.
It was just like this big. I go, that would be a great tree creature. And then I just found a bunch of pictures, and I took a couple of pieces from this one and that one, and then got that one together to kind of get me into my prop building mode back in, I was like March or April.
Wow.
And then I did the new fisherman guy.
Yeah.
And so now I have a pair of fisherman creatures in the Innsmouth scene. I had the Cthulhu, and what the hell else did I do? I'm like trying to think of what the hell else did I do? Cthulhu, fisherman, tree creature.
I thought there was something else.
There was something else, and I can't think of what the hell else I did. Oh, the corn stalker, the corn stalk dude. Yeah. Which is hilarious because I posted a video like on all the little Halloween groups on Facebook. It was all my creatures that I had, because I had built them all in the backyard, and each one I had them side by side, and I said, yeah, here's my five months of hard work, for this spooky season. And everybody kept saying, "Oh, the corn one's my favorite. The corn one's my favorite." And I'm like, the head I bought from Pumpkin Riot Productions, and so he did the head, and I just built the body out of PVC and some 9-gauge wire and whatever, and I just hot glued corn stalks all over the thing, the leaves for it, so it had that original creepy looking look. And everybody kept telling me that the corn stalk was their favorite. And I'm like, I spent like 2 nonstop months on Cthulhu. And the corn thing that took me like 5 minutes to make in the backyard is your favorite.
Right.
Awesome.
Well, see, and you can never gauge the audience and like the audience's reaction, right? It's like the thing that you're most invested in, or I wouldn't say necessarily most proud of, but I mean, the thing that to you would want the most reception for, often ends up not the thing that you get the most reception of, See, again, of all the Chris Bakers, you're the Chris Bakerist.
But anyway, so had a lot of great props.
I was gonna say big crowd this year.
Like over 1,500 kids or people.
Nice.
I would say the neighbors down the street were doing a count for all each candy piece of candy they gave out. They clocked in almost 12 to 1,300 kids that they had given candy to. So now I'm thinking, well, okay, then I easily had at least that. Plus, you had the parents. And the adults, so they weren't counting them. So they were
Chris Baker math.
They were. So I just throw in some parents and some pedophiles and whatever else that was out on the street. So
I was gonna say I don't trust these numbers. These sound very suspicious.
So I'm speculating, it was 12 to 1,500 people that were out on the street there. So it was
okay.
It was.
Is this the way you do your taxes? By the way, I don't know if the IRS needs.
That's why.
Be aware of how good you are with
numbers. That's why I have a CPA. Yeah, okay,
that
makes sense.
I see.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and I had my pumpkin pulp weeping willow mask on with the ghillie suit, so I had a new costume.
Yeah, that looked cool.
New costume on this year with the VF Creates Minion sound system, blasting monster screeches in their face, and it was great, man. I got a ton of good startles. I was completely on track for an A, what they call it, Rev calls it the track A haunt,
right?
Until Halloween night, when my compressors blew the fuse and I had both compressors go down, because I separate a couple of props on one compressor, a couple of props on another compressor, so that way if one goes down, I'm good. Well, I didn't realize the wiring on this house is so back-assed that I plugged it into one room, and then I had the other compressor plugged into a completely different room, and somehow the wiring screwed up and they were on the same circuit. So over an hour and a half in, they just blew the fuse.
So you're like Clark Griswold, like decorating for Christmas, Christmas vacation.
So I am full out. I've got nonstop conga line of kids coming in. I can't just leave to go downstairs in the basement to find the switch in the dark and flip it back on again. So I left them off for about an hour and a half, and then at the tail end, I had a little bit of a break. I ran down, flipped the switch, and I got them back on for the tail end of the night. So they were on in the beginning of the night and the end of the night. There was just about an hour and a half or so in the middle that they kind of both went down and ran out of air. So you could kind of hear them going off, but they weren't firing up. But that was the only thing.
But again, is that something that you noticed, or do you think that the audience noticed?
No, of course, it's only me.
Right.
It's only me. Nobody else knew what was going to happen, what was supposed to happen. So it didn't really matter.
Right.
I used my Upshot fogger that I got from Froggy's Fog this year, and that actually got some cool startles because I had it set with like a red LED, so it blasts up. It kind of looks like fire or something, like exploding straight up in the air. So as they walked up close to me, I'd hit that. So that thing obviously was going off. It wasn't pneumatic because it was going off all night, so I was using that, and that was fun. And I was using the Minion sound system, which was new to me because I used the Puppet Master one last year. This one has extra effects in it, and you could set it up as remote. So I had 6 different buttons, attached to the armrest of the throne that I was sitting in. So you could hit button 1, and it would have a line that would say, "Come hither if you want a treat." And then the next one would be the attack, like the rah, effect. There were like poison prop. A monster effect.
Do that again. You're a great actor. Do that again,
dude. That's why
do it again.
That's why I. Dude,
no. Come on.
That's why I use this thing. I use this thing because I can't do that. So, and then
did you say boo or get out?
Yeah, I had a couple of those, and a couple of the attack ones, and then I had one that was just a breathing and on a loop. So if I hit it, it'd just be this like monster breathing.
Cool.
So it was just like.
Yeah.
So it was just really creepy. So people would be walking up to me and they're like, "Jesus Christ, what the hell is this thing?"
I think people are used to that though. When they walk by your house, they hear like heavy breathing. So yeah, I don't think that's anything different for like the normal Chris Baker house.
Come on now, I'm a respected member of this community over here.
Oh my God, I just choked on my beer.
Unlike the haunt community. And then the final one was my deep dark happy Halloween. It would go like Happy Halloween, and whenever I hit that, because I'll scare them, then I'll give them the treat, and then I'll hit that, and then they burst out laughing because it just kind of breaks the tension, and everybody just thinks it's hilarious. And if little kids come up, I'll just hit that one because I don't want to scare them. So if they're too young, I'll use the Happy Halloween and give them candy. But yeah, I reveled in the season this year, and other than that minor thing with the pneumatics going down, which I'm going to have a electrician come in and put a high amp outlet in for next year, so that's not going to happen. How was your season? How's everything wrap up for you?
Good. I had said that I think this may have been my favorite season at the Bates. And is this...
Yeah, why? What was it about this season?
You know what? Like I said, I didn't work last year just because of some physical problems and health issues that I had. And just going back this year, just being able to go back online, having so many customers come up that remembered me, other actors and a lot of new actors who had said, oh my God, I used to come here when I was a kid, or I came here when I was in high school and I got pictures with you, and, you know, people are showing me pictures. There were a few times I literally had customers come up to me and said, oh my God, there was one woman in particular that said, oh my God, you were here. I took a picture with you in 2017. I was first dating my boyfriend at the time. Now we're married. My husband's here. Let's recreate the picture in front of the house. So I took a picture, and then she showed me the one from 7-8 years ago. We recreated the picture. There was another woman that came up, and she's like, oh my God, you're still here. I took a picture with you again, 12 years ago. Every Halloween, I have a framed picture. I put it back out, and my grandkids are like, oh, that's the time that you saw that scary guy at the Bates. And, so there were it was a lot of cool memories and people saying, like, they remember me because I've been there for 1,000 years, which was really nice. And I only did, weekends. I did, I mostly did
Grandpa Bubba.
Yeah,
Grandpa
I
Bubba.
only did Saturday nights and stuff. But, there's a few things. One, I also had on the weekends a very talented group of fellow scare actors with me. So having people out there online that know what they're doing, know what's going on. Rob, who's been there even longer than I have, was out there. And I had a couple of other guys, Jay and Eric, who were awesome. I hadn't worked with them before. They started last year. They worked at other haunts. But it was, again, when you have 3 other experienced vets that know what they're doing, right? So the busiest nights, you all kind of like get into a groove where, okay, you're covering that line, I'm covering this line, I'm going over here. And then if any of us have to get pulled out and, fill in, maybe a scene or maybe be a break actor or something, it's nice to know that you have just such quality people backing you up out there.
Now, do you riff off of each other?
Yeah, we do. We do sometimes. Yeah. Of course, like if you're walking by and somebody's like doing one thing, you might like go up and try to like, double team, a customer and get like a double scare. Or if somebody's going to scare somebody one way and they're running towards you, but they don't see you and then you just get in their face, then they scream and they run backwards and they're sort of like it's like they're trying to run between second and third and, somebody has the ball and they don't want to get tagged out. So that's always very, very fun. I would also say the customers this year just seem to have a lot of fun and everyone was having a good time. I didn't really have many, you don't want to say jerks, but everybody was really, really having a great time. And again, kudos to the owners, management, and security out there. I got to say, thank you. Those guys, the security, our EMT, everybody out there just does a really, really great job. So you always feel safe. You always feel like it's a great environment. The other thing I was going to say, which made it wonderful, was I had the opportunity to do 3 Philadelphia news segments. So I got to...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I got to do Fox 29. We did that the Tuesday before we opened, so that's like the second week in September.
Dude, you were like the face of the Bates Motel.
It was,
seriously.
well, and people have said that, but it's also, I'm a very small part of what makes the haunt go, right? You know what I mean? It was just, I was just really appreciative of the opportunity because, like I said, in the news, you get to ham it up, right? It's like you throw yourself out there, you do whatever you can to get on TV, you be ridiculous because morning news gets a little ridiculous, and that's what they're looking for.
Oh my God. Morning. I can't do morning news.
Nice?
But if you were on, I would have made an exception. But that was hilarious. I'm going to post a link, by the way, of you doing the weather. I'm going to post a link in the description, so you got to check that out. What was
awesome was
people.
that was Fox 29 down in Old City. So we did Fox 29 remote hits at the farm. We did PHL 17, which is like the CW at the farm. And then Halloween morning, Fox invited us down to their city, their Old City studio on 2nd and Market, and we were in the studio. So it was the last time I'd done that, I think, was 5 years before that, was when we were downtown and we were outside in Old City, and we were outside. This year we were in the studio. So, we get up there, we go up, we're in the green room for a while. It was nice because I ran into the makeup artist who does all of the Fox 29 stuff for any of their segments, whether it's Halloween or other things when they might need like costumes and makeup and stuff. So I got to see her in the green room, and then we got to go up to the 3rd floor where the studio was at the time. So we're waiting, behind scenes, and again, it's awesome when you see, again, how much goes into a film, how much goes into television, how much goes into the news. So, the amount of lights and cameras and producers and everything else. So we're waiting, and again, there's no sort of script, right? It just says, we need 5 haunt actors down here. Ben Bates and Garrett Sapsis, Ben is obviously now the manager, owner, and Garrett is our acting manager. We all drive into the city. We're all standing up there, and it's like, what are we doing? It's like, I don't know. It's like, yeah, this is my first radio with the Bates or with news. So you roll with it, right? It's like, we're going to do 2 hits. We're going to do 3 hits. That changes minute to minute. You don't know what's going to happen. So we're hanging out, and the one assistant producer comes over, and she says, well, I think the plan is the 9 o'clock hour, you're all going to be on camera, on the one camera, and we'll cut you when we need to, and then we'll bring you into the main story as need be. And it's like, there's no plan. So it's about 8:45, and we're standing there, and I said, hey, by the way, I was like, is there any chance I could do the weather? And she's like, really? I was like, look, I've had many, many, many dreams in life, right? I'm like, I want to be in a movie, which I've done, which I'm also going to be again. I'm like, I want to be on TV, which I've been doing for 16 years. I want to be on the radio, which I did in high school, and, whatever this show is. I want to be in a magazine, which I've done. I've been in the newspaper. I said, one of the things, music videos. I did 2 music videos a couple years ago. I said, one of the things is I've always wanted to do the friggin' weather. And she's like, let me go ask. She goes, I think he has a hit coming up at like 8:55. I'm like, okay. She comes back literally 8:54, says, come with me. I walk to the other side of the studio. And the other thing is, which is awesome, is I watch Fox 29 Good Day Philly every morning. So I'm a groupie. So I know all the, the anchors. I know all, because again, we've done a lot with them either at the studio or out at the farm. And Drew Anderson, who was filling in that morning, he was like, absolutely, let's get you on TV. He's like, you're not going to be mic'd, but I'll do the voiceover. I'm like, okay. And I was dying because I'm like, literally, it was a minute ago. I'm standing in the in the green room, and then we're up in the studio, and all of a sudden I'm on TV because and Garrett and Ben, nobody else, the other actors didn't know what I was doing. They didn't know that I asked. So Garrett said, he's just standing there, and everybody's talking to him, BSing and stuff, and he turns, he's like, oh, where's Bubba? And all of a sudden they all look up the monitors, because there's 1,000 monitors, and they're like, oh my God. So they're like, they were like, dude, you're doing the weather. And the funny thing is, people were like, oh my God, you were so funny because it was like, you were so ridiculous. And I'm like, even if I tried to do the weather, it's really hard. It is as hard as you're here, because you have the green screen, you've got the 4 monitors around you, you've got the script on the camera below, in front of you, and it's opposite land. And I knew that. So even if I wasn't trying to be funny, it would have been a disaster. It was so hard, but it was so fun. And then after that, I went back out to the main studio, and I got to interact with a bunch of the actors, and I got to talk, and the anchors. I got to talk at the end. I did a little bit of a spiel at the end with Mike and Alex, which was fun. Took a bunch of pictures, got to talk to a lot of the people there, and it was funny because also Jen Fred, who was the anchor who was out the beginning of September, that came out to the farm. When she saw me, she was like, oh my God, how are you? I was like, oh, hey, how are you? it was so much fun. It was a great Halloween morning. And and then so after that we came back out here to the burbs. We all went to breakfast, which again which was wonderful. We're all still dressed in makeup and costume, going out to this like nice little cafe, and then actually we pulled into the farm. NBC 10 pulled in out of the blue, and this other news reporter was like, "Oh my God, we're looking for some Halloween stuff. Can we blah blah?" And I was like, I work here. I'm not the owner. Go talk to Ben. He's right over there. I left, came home, got undressed, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, it's 12:30. Trick or treat starts at like 6 o'clock. I'm exhausted. What are we going to do? But the funny thing is just the last thing about doing the weather, the next morning, I have a text from one of my friends. He's like, dude, you were on John Oliver last night. I'm like, what? So John Oliver's on HBO. He does it was like last week tonight or tonight last week, whatever. And again, I don't watch the show, so I didn't know. He was like, I'm in bed last night at like 10:30, and all of a sudden my wife is like, 2 floors down, and she heard me screaming, and she's like, what's going on? She's like, hey, my friend was like, oh my God, my friend's on TV. Like they did a whole segment of morning news Halloween. And they had me on because they mistook me for an actual meteorologist that was doing the weather in local Philly weather. So it was fun. And so then backtracking to Halloween night, I set up again. I was like, you know what? I just want to do something simple, something small, and I just set up a little thing for me to like a little scene for me to act in. I have the projector lights, different colors around the house and the fence and stuff, and up on the corn stalks. And my wife set up the little table, and she was even exhausted because they had a Halloween party at her work too. And we did our candy. We did our full-size candy bars. I had a little graveyard set up. I did my Hunchback character, Grunts the Hunchback. He's my new guy. Zagnoni from Chicago. I got the green mask, and I got the green hairy hands. I bought the monk outfit, and it was great. And I bought the little solar-powered lantern with the little crossbones from Dollar Tree. It was $5, but it was awesome. It turned out awesome. And again, with the colored lights on the little crappy tombstones, it had so many people come up. I would say I'm on a side street, not as active obviously as you, but I think we got anywhere between 80 to 90, 95, because at a certain point I ran out of full size Hershey bars, but we always have a bunch of toys and different stuff on hand. So I gave out, I think some of the kids actually dug that more. Little kids come up, oh wow, like spider rings and little notepads and pens and, little eyeballs and, rubber bats and stuff. So that a lot of kids were like happier with that stuff too. So it was a good night, and they all left, and my daughter went trick-or-treating with her friends on the other side of town. I sat there in the driveway afterwards, sat there, blasted music, got hammered, and it was warm. That was the other problem, dude. Because we were texting that day. It was, again, Halloween. It was, what was it, in the 80s?
It was one of the warmer Halloweens I can remember. Maybe the warmest one I can remember.
And of all years where I'm like, let me do a big furry latex mask with big furry latex gloves and a hood and stuff. And I'm like, part of me was like, I'm just going to sit in the driveway in a t-shirt and flip-flops and just be like, cheers, kids. I was on TV this morning. One other thing we talked about, why it was my favorite season at the Bates, they actually were able to we stayed open this year after Halloween. So Halloween was Thursday night. So then I got to act again. I acted Friday night and Saturday night. I didn't act Sunday. The final night was Sunday night. But it was awesome. I got to work again November 1st, November 2nd. So I got, we had said I start in mid-September. And then I got 2 more nights after Halloween, which was really, really awesome. So, yeah.
So next time we do have a review of Nosferatu.
We're going to do Nosferatu. And I'm going to cover a bunch of comic books. There's a bunch of things that are out that I think are awesome. And there's a book I'm reading right now that we'll talk about next time as well.
Cool.
So I think that's it, buddy. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for listening. As always, this is Johnny Thunder with
Baker.
who is the bakerest baker of all.
Shake and bake.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. All right, everybody, thank you for listening. Hope you had a great Halloween as well, and we'll catch you next time. In the meantime, stay scary.
Please follow the podcast. Give us a 5-star review. Stalk us on social media. Links in the description. And visit our blog page for more show info at huntcastpodcast.net/blog. Until next time, stay scary.
Go now, and heaven help you.